December 21st, 1939. Minus 40 degrees Celsius. The Kola River, Finland. Imagine yourself standing in that brutal cold air so sharp it bites the inside of your lungs. Snow hangs motionless, the forest frozen in absolute silence. A Soviet colonel lifts his binoculars, sweeping the tree line ahead. His mission appears almost laughably straightforward. Move his forces through this sector. According to intelligence, no more than 20 Finnish defenders hold the line here. 20. Barely a platoon. Behind him stretches an entire regiment over 4,000 soldiers. By every logical calculation, this should take hours. Perhaps less. What the colonel cannot possibly know is that, at this very moment, someone is staring back at him. One man. A 34-year-old farmer, barely 5'3", hidden somewhere in that icy maze of trees. He never attended a military academy. He has no formal combat training. He carries a rifle nearly 4 decades old. Dear friends, if this video has reached you, it's not by chance. Right now, click the subscribe button and the notification bell. Write a number from 1 to 5 in the comments. I will personally respond to the first 50 comments, and make sure to watch the video until the end. And yet, in the next 100 days, this same farmer will kill over 500 Soviet soldiers entirely on his own, using a method so stark, so terrifyingly efficient, that the Red Army will form special task forces with one objective: stop him. They will fire artillery into forests where no one stands. They will send hunting squads into the snow, desperate to track a single phantom. And still, they will fail. His name is Simo Häyhä, but the Soviets will abandon that name and give him another one that echoes across history: the White Death. This is the tale of how a farmer, armed only with an unconventional mindset and an iron will, carved the deadliest sniper record ever documented. And the technique he relied on was so rudimentary, so stripped of everything official doctrine insists upon, that even today it contradicts the teachings of military sniper schools worldwide. But to appreciate how impossible Simo's feat truly was, we must step back into the broader storm blazing across Northern Europe, the Winter War. November 30th, 1939. Stalin unleashes the Soviet Union upon Finland. His motive? Geography and fear. Leningrad lies a mere 32 kilometers from the Finnish border. He wants a wider buffer, more room between his city and potential threats. The disparity between the two nations is staggering. The Soviet Union, with 170 million people, towering over Finland's 3 million. Over 10,000 Soviet tanks against 32 Finnish ones. More than 3,000 Soviet aircraft opposing Finland's 114. In London, Paris, and Washington, military observers write identical predictions. Finland cannot last more than 2 weeks, 3 at most if they resist fiercely. Stalin's own generals echo this optimism. He even schedules victory parades in Helsinki for mid-December. Soldiers are told to pack dress uniforms, but Stalin commits one fatal error. He counts what can be numbered: men, tanks, artillery. He ignores what cannot be tallied so easily: ingenuity under pressure, the ability to improvise solutions when the situation defies logic. The Finns face odds of 5 to 1, sometimes 10 to 1. They know they cannot win by conventional tactics, so they will not fight conventionally. Instead, each clash becomes a puzzle, an engineering challenge, a test of creativity. How do you stop a column of tanks without anti-tank weapons? Finnish engineers discover that bottles filled with gasoline and tar cling to armor better than fuel alone. They christen them Molotov cocktails, a biting joke aimed at the Soviet foreign minister. How do you endure relentless artillery when you lack concrete bunkers? You design makeshift fortifications, quick to abandon and simple to rebuild within hours. And in one narrow sector along the Kola River, a lone farmer will attempt to solve the oldest infantry riddle of all. How do you kill the enemy without revealing your position? When war erupts, Simo Häyhä is no soldier by profession. He comes from the municipality of Rautjärvi, where he spends his days hunting in dense forests, tracking squirrels, rabbits, birds, perfecting accuracy over nearly 20 years. When mobilization begins, he joins the same unit from his mandatory service, 6th Company, JR 34, Jaeger Regiment 34. His gear? Nothing glamorous. A standard Mosin Nagant M2830. No attachments, no special rounds. His company digs in along the Kola River. To Simo, the terrain is like an old friend forests knotted with conifers, gentle rises of land, frozen lakes sealed under ice. The enemy, however, is a giant, the Soviet 155th Rifle Regiment, more than 4,000 men with armor and artillery behind them. Finnish officers understand the math. They cannot meet such force head-on. They must squeeze every possible advantage from their environment. One advantage stands above the rest. These forests are home turf. Many Finnish soldiers grew up hunting among these trees. Sniping becomes the obvious tactic. Eliminate officers, disrupt communications, sow panic and confusion. Yet traditional sniping techniques bring their own deadly flaws, especially during the brutal Finnish winter. Anyone who follows standard doctrine risks immediate death. By 1939, military manuals insist snipers rely on scope's magnification for distant targets, improved precision. But here, in this freezing world of white, scopes become a liability. Flaw. 1. Scope glint. Glass reflects even the tiniest light. Against endless snow, a single gleam becomes a beacon. Soviet counter-snipers are trained to hunt that glitter. Once they see it, you are already dead. Flaw 2. Elevated shooting stance. Using a scope forces you to lift your head higher. A subtle rise, but in winter warfare, hiding in snowbanks, even a slight silhouette can betray your position. Flaw 3. Breath fog. At -40, every exhale crystallizes instantly, forming a visible cloud. The scope sits above your face, right in the path of that rising fog. Not only does it blur your sight picture, it exposes you. Soviet soldiers learn to search for these faint white puffs. Spot the fog, and you've found the sniper. During the first weeks of fighting, several Finnish snipers fall victim to these vulnerabilities. They follow doctrine, trust their equipment, and are killed by Soviet sharpshooters detecting their glint, their raised heads, or the telltale breath. Simo Häyhä observes all of this and chooses a path every professional sniper would call madness. He rejects the telescopic sight entirely. His method shatters every principle taught to 1939 military marksmen, yet it neutralizes every deadly environmental factor that is killing their peers. And the first cornerstone of his approach? Solution component 1. Iron sights only. Imagine standing on the frozen expanse of the Karelian front, -38°C, gnawing at every exposed inch of skin, and knowing death could come from anywhere. This is the world of Simo Häyhä, the Finnish sniper who became a ghost in the snow. He carried only his standard-issue Mosin Nagant, no scope, no magnification, just the bare iron sights. At first glance, this seems like a severe handicap. How can you hit a target hundreds of meters away without a scope? How can you see clearly enough to strike at distance? Yet, in Simo's hands, this apparent disadvantage became his deadliest asset. No glass meant no glint, no reflection catching the eye of an enemy soldier. He was invisible in every spectrum that mattered. Even more, with iron sights, his head barely cleared the rifle just an inch above the weapon. He could press his face into the snow, keeping his entire body hidden below the surface, a living shadow in white. But concealment was more than just low posture. Simo turned snow into an ally. Before settling into a firing position, He meticulously compacted the snow ahead of him, forging a solid shield that would not erupt into powder when his rifle barked. Loose snow can betray a position in an instant. Compacted snow denies the enemy even that clue. And there was an almost bizarre technique he used: snow in his mouth. It sounds strange, but it's ingenious thermodynamics. As he breathed, the moisture from his lungs hit the snow first, absorbed quietly, leaving the exhaled air drier. Some fog still formed, but it stayed low, below the line of sight, leaving his position undetectable. Simo's genius extended to his choice of location and discipline in combat. Each position was engineered with military precision. Natural depressions where he could fire from below the earth, multiple escape routes weaving through dense forest, backgrounds that fractured his silhouette, and clear lines of fire covering predictable Soviet patrol paths. Yet he never lingered. A sniper who waits is a target. Soviet artillery doctrine made this clear. Simo fired a handful of shots, sometimes only one, then melted into the forest. Every time, the enemy artillery struck only empty snow. He chose survival over convenience, crawling through icy drifts, rebuilding positions, enduring fatigue, all to ensure his adversaries never found him. Patience, honed over decades as a hunter and farmer, became another weapon. While conventional military snipers were trained to shoot at any exposed target, Simo did the opposite. He waited, often for hours, for enemy soldiers to step into precise kill zones, distances memorized from meticulous observation. Muscle memory took over. No range calculations, no adjustments needed. The shot was instinctive, perfect. Finnish comrades nearby spoke in awe. They rarely heard him miss. One bullet, one target every time. And yet, what terrorized the Soviets most was not his accuracy, it was his invisibility. Standard counter-sniper tactics, flanking artillery, counter-snipers. Failed. Simo gave nothing away. No scope glint, no high profile, no excessive breath fog, no poorly concealed muzzle flash. Soviet soldiers began dying in patterns in specific sectors of the Kola front, with no idea who or what struck them. Officers, machine gunners, men carrying ammunition, every rank fell to unseen bullets. Fear crept into the ranks. Patrols slowed, hesitated, refused orders. Soviet intelligence soon described an exceptionally skilled sniper, assuming a rotating team, not realizing one man alone wrought havoc. Special hunter squads, armed with scoped rifles and elite training, entered the forests in weeks-long hunts, only to become another statistic under Simo's deadly gaze. Consider a typical engagement in January 1940, the deadliest month of the Winter War. Pre-dawn, 4:30 a.m. Simo awakens in a dugout behind Finnish lines. The world outside is a frozen, silent expanse. Breakfast is cold, fires forbidden. They would betray his position. Every part of his Mosin Nagant is checked, cleaned, and aligned. This rifle is his lifeline. By dawn, 6 a.m., he moves forward, all white camouflage blending into the snow. Approach is deliberate. Every step is calculated, often crawling across open spaces to leave minimal traces. An hour's crawl for 500 meters, while Soviets advance in noisy columns, along trails. Speed over stealth. By 7 a.m., he reaches a pre-scouted position, a slight depression behind a fallen log, 70 meters from a trail patrolled daily by Soviet soldiers. Snow is compacted, body profile minimized, rifle barrel just inches beyond cover. He waits. At 9:30 a.m., a patrol appears. 8 soldiers, walking loosely, chatting unaware. Simo allows the lead scouts to pass, aiming instead at the 4th man in line, often an officer or NCO. Distance, 72 meters. He's practiced this shot countless times. A single, deliberate breath, squeeze, and the rifle cracks the frozen air. The target drops instantly. Confused survivors seek cover in wrong directions. Without hesitation, Simo retreats, crawling to a secondary position 150 meters away. Soviet artillery pounds the empty forest, but he is already elsewhere. Afternoon brings more challenges. A group of 20 soldiers advances in proper formation. Too alert, too cautious. Simo waits. Only when 3 terrified soldiers rush through carrying ammunition does he strike again. Lead man down, another follow-up. The third vanishes into the forest. He relocates immediately. By 5 p.m., light fades. Simo withdraws toward finish lines. 4 confirmed kills. 4 rounds expended. For the Soviets, yet another nightmare. For Simo, just another day. And so it repeated, day after day, for 100 days, the tally of kills climbing relentlessly. By late February 1940, Finnish intelligence began tracking his confirmed kills separately. Witnesses verified, officers confirmed. The legend of the White Death was no myth. It was methodical, patient, and lethal. The numbers are staggering, almost beyond belief. Over 100 relentless days of fighting, from November 30th, 1939 to March 6th, 1940, Simo Häyhä racks up over 500 confirmed sniper kills. Some accounts claim 542, others estimate 505. The exact figure matters little compared to the meaning behind it. An average of more than 5 confirmed kills per day, sustained through the harshest winter conditions imaginable, against an enemy fully aware of his presence and actively hunting him. No sniper in the history of warfare, before or since, has ever approached such a record. But Simo's influence extends far beyond body counts. In the Kola sector, Soviet forces develop a reaction modern military psychologists would later call sniper paralysis. Soldiers hesitate to move in daylight. Patrols must be ordered under threat of punishment. Officers struggle to carry out offensives because their troops are gripped by fear of invisible death. The very sector Stalin's generals expected to crush in days stubbornly holds for the duration of the Winter War. Finnish defenders inflict casualties far disproportionate to their numbers. And at the heart of this impact is Simo, along with other skilled Finnish snipers, whose psychological and tactical influence reshapes the battlefield. Simo's approach was not static. It evolved into a form of tactical innovation. His iron sight method spreads among fellow Finnish snipers. Soldiers observe his astonishing efficiency and begin to adopt similar strategies. The Finnish military eventually formalizes these lessons. Remove the scope, rely on natural concealment, and prioritize invisibility over range. This is not doctrine blindly copied from textbooks. This is doctrine invented in the snow, forged from trial, observation, and environmental problem-solving. Simo is not following existing military rules. He is creating new rules that actually work in extreme conditions. The Soviets respond with everything they have. Dedicated counter-sniper units are formed. Artillery rakes the forests where he might hide. They attempt precision bombing of tree lines, yet nothing works. Simo remains elusive, a ghost among the trees. Finally, on March 6, 1940, the end of his combat streak comes not through cunning or skill, but by sheer chance. A random explosive round reports vary. Either an artillery fragment or an exploding bullet strikes him in the jaw. The injury is catastrophic. Half his face is destroyed. Finnish soldiers find him unconscious in the snow, expecting the worst. Against all odds, he survives, but recovery will take years and multiple surgeries. The war ends 7 days later. Finland signs a peace treaty, ceding territory, but maintaining its independence. Simo awakens from unconsciousness on March 13, 1940, the day the treaty is signed. The legacy of Simo Häyhä reverberates far beyond that frozen battlefield. His iron sight technique reshapes military sniping doctrine for decades. During World War II, both German and Soviet sniper schools study the Winter War, documenting Finnish snipers, especially Simo, using iron sights with devastating efficiency. Some units begin training soldiers to shoot with both scopes and iron sights. Even modern editions of the U.S. Marine Corps Sniper Manual include sections on iron sight shooting for situations where optics fail. Engineering lessons from his methods also endure. Today, sniper rifles incorporate anti-reflective coatings, honeycomb lens covers, and low-profile designs, all intended to solve the problems Simo identified: scope glint, breath fog, elevated silhouette. Yet perhaps the most important lesson of all is philosophical. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best solution. Simo didn't need the latest high-tech rifles or advanced optics. He needed a method perfectly suited to his environment, a deep understanding of forests, snow, and extreme cold. And he needed to think differently when conventional doctrine failed. Simo Häyhä lived until 2002, reaching the age of 96. After the war, he returned to his life of farming and hunting. When journalists pressed him about his extraordinary feats, he replied simply, "I did what I was told to do, as well as I could." He refused to glorify killing, viewing his actions as necessary defense of his homeland, nothing more. For historians and military analysts, however, he remains a case study in ingenuity, discipline, and adaptation. One farmer, one basic rifle, one simple technique that solved the problem of invisibility in winter warfare. 505 confirmed kills in 100 days. Simo did not win the Winter War alone. Finland's survival was the result of countless soldiers, engineers, and civilians, all finding creative solutions to impossible problems. Yet Simo Häyhä embodies a vital truth. Unconventional thinking, perfectly matched to specific conditions, can achieve what conventional doctrine deems impossible. He understood his environment better than generals thousands of kilometers away. He knew the forests, the snow, the cold, and he knew that sometimes the old, simple tool outperforms the new, complex one.